Most resellers think that the key to making more money is finding better brands, but that's actually why most resellers stay stuck. If your goal is to make $5,000 a month reselling or more, then the real game is in the numbers. Stay until the end because I'm going to break down real examples with real numbers so that you can learn how you can apply these learnings in your own closet. We have all seen the endless advice from the seemingly endless amount of reselling channels here on YouTube. Here are the best BOLO brands. This is what sold for me this week. This is what didn't sell for me this week. You should pick up this brand. Actually, this brand is dead now. You should pick up this brand instead. Riff with me. Let's find a hidden gem. And don't get me wrong, this stuff does matter. Finding better brands can help you make more money per item, and it's super important to stay on top of trends and not just rely on what worked for you yesterday, assuming that it will work for you today. Oh, and hello, I make videos like that too. But here's the problem. People start to think about reselling as a game of finding the perfect item, when in reality, at scale, reselling is about building a system. Quick context if you're new here. My name's Laura. I was a full-time reseller for 2 years. Since then, I went back to school to get my MBA, and now I apply my business skills to the business of resale on this YouTube channel. Reselling, especially when you want it to be more of a business than a side hustle, isn't a treasure hunt. It is a volume game. And there are really only 3 things that matter: how much profit you make per item, how fast your items sell, and how many items you have listed. That second one, how fast your items sell, is known as your sell-through rate. Put very simply, it's just the percentage of your inventory that moves within a given time period. And you can calculate yours right now. It's very simple, so get out your pen and paper. Number 1, how many items did you sell last month? And how much inventory did you have available last month? And you can also replace last month with whatever time period you want. This should be an average. So for example, if in the beginning of the month you had 180 listings, and by the end of the month you had 220 listings available, then your average for the month would be 200 listings. And this is available listings, so sold listings should not count in this number. That is your sell-through rate. Once you have that, you can use that number to truly make everything else in your business start to click and make sense. So let's break this down in the simplest way possible. Say that your goal is to make $5,000 a month. Now let's assume that you make an average profit of about $25 per item. So you want to make $5,000 a month and your average profit per item is $25. That means that you would need to sell 200 items in a month in order to make your goal. So the real question becomes, how big does your closet need to be in order to make 200 sales in a month? And that is where our handy dandy sell-through rate that we calculated earlier comes in. Now, this is where it's going to get a little fun. I'm going to walk you through 3 different examples of 3 different resellers that all have different business models and different approaches to reselling, so you can see how this actually plays out. All right, so let's start with low inventory Linda. That's what we're calling her. Although honestly, we could call her low inventory Laura because this business model describes how my business model is working right now. So Linda is very selective. She only picks up very on-trend, in-demand items from premium brands that she knows will sell for a high ticket price. She has a pretty good sell-through rate, about 35%, because all of her items are in demand and they're highly searched for and pretty quick to sell because of this. And her average profit per item is also pretty high, $40. So step 1, how many sales does our girl Linda need to make $5,000 a month? Linda needs about 125 sales. And how much inventory would that require of Linda? This is the magic formula that I want you to write down and remember from this video. I'm just going to take that number that we just got. So for Linda, it's 125 sales a month, and you're going to divide it by your sell-through rate. You remember Linda's sell-through rate is 35%, and that gives us about 350 to 400 active listings. That means that Linda only needs 350 to 400 items available at all times in order to make $5,000 a month. Keep in mind, every single one of Linda's items has to be good in order to keep that sell-through rate and $40 average profit per item steady. So Linda has to be really selective, and Linda is probably spending a decent amount of time sourcing in order to keep that quality. Moving on to our next friend, Inventory Mina. She sources a mix. She has some strong brands. She has some items that she knows will sell fast, maybe for less money. And she has some stuff that she thinks will sell eventually. And she's not afraid of volume. She's not ruthless about what she picks up, but she's also not totally just picking up anything. Mina's average profit per item is $25, and her sell through rate is about 25%. So, how many sales does Mina need in order to make $5,000 a month? And she needs 200 sales a month. So, how much inventory does Mina need? We take that 200 and we divide it by her sell through rate of 25%, and we get about 800 active listings. So, Mina needs 800 items to make the same $5,000 that Linda only needs 350 to 400 items to make. And now inventory management systems are starting to matter a lot. Right, our third and final example is high inventory Hannah. Hannah is playing a very different game than Mina or Linda. She has totally optimized for volume and velocity. She is sourcing fast. Our girl is spending time at the bins. She is picking up items for low cost of goods and flipping stuff quickly. Not everything is premium, but it's always priced to move. And she knows that she's playing a volume game here. And importantly, her sell-through rate isn't as high as Linda's or even Mina's, but this type of business model is much easier to scale because again, keeping that sell-through rate of 35% is really challenging to do. So our girl Hannah makes an average profit of $15 per item, and her sell-through rate is around 20%. So Hannah would need about 333 sales a month in order to make $5,000. And how much inventory would she need? We take our 333, we divide it by 20%, and we get somewhere between 1,600 and 1,700 listings. So Hannah needs 1,700 items a month at all times in order to keep hitting that $5,000 benchmark. But she doesn't need every item to be amazing. It just needs to be sellable. So she has a lot less restriction when she goes out sourcing, and she can buy a lot more different types of stuff. And this is the part that I feel like no one talks about. The lower your profit per item, the more inventory you need to make the same amount of money. That's the dot that I want everyone to connect after watching this video. So when people say I'm not making money reselling, or how come I'm not making enough, or reselling isn't working for me, most of the time it's not a sourcing problem, it is a math problem because you either don't have enough inventory, your sell-through rate is too low, or both. And once you understand this, you can actually fix it. I want to take a moment to just talk about strategy. So our three girls in our examples have three very different strategies. And it's super important to not only define your strategy, but stick to it. Your strategy may have to be defined by what's available to you. So for example, Hannah lives super close to a Goodwill outlets. She's always there. She's buying things by the bucket full, and she's spending, 50 cents per item. That's her average cost of goods. So she has a lower threshold of what she needs to pick up in order to turn that $15 profit around. If you're like Hannah and you have access to that type of sourcing most easily, then a higher volume business model might work better for you. Now, our girl Linda, she lives in a trendy cosmopolitan area. She has access to more like high-end consignment stores, and she can find really cool stuff, but she has to pay up more for it. And so she doesn't want to buy as much volume inventory, but all of her stuff is going to sell for a lot more money than our girl Hannah. So if you're like Linda, then you might want to focus on sourcing higher quality items and having less sales volume in order to hit your sales goals. And I want to be clear, both strategies can work and do work. But what you don't want to do is flip-flop between the two strategies. Because if your average sales price is low, you need volume to make up for that in order to hit your sales goals. Plain and simple. Without the volume, you won't see the results you want with a low average sales price. And even if your average sales price is high, if your sell-through rate is low, then you need volume to make up for that. To be super clear, I am not saying that your sell-through rate should be your goal. It's just a reflection of your strategy. Okay, so you're watching this and you're thinking, all right, well, what do I do? How do I fix this? Here's what I would do. First, you're gonna figure out your average profit per item. A spreadsheet is probably the best way to do this, and consistently tracking this information is super useful. Then you're going to set your monthly income goal. Throughout this whole video, we were using $5,000, but maybe that's not your goal. Maybe it's $10,000, maybe it's $1,000. So set that goal for yourself. And then figure out your current sell-through rate, which again is items sold divided by items in inventory. And from there, you can literally reverse engineer and figure out how many sales you need to make a month and how much inventory you need to reach your goals. And if you get the number of inventory and you're thinking that is so out of reach for me and I'm never going to get there, then something else in your business needs to change. Either your average sales price needs to increase, your cost of goods needs to decrease, you need to start turning things over faster. If the inventory number that you're getting is out of reach for you, then think about the other levers in your business that you can pull to change that inventory number, because all of this is fluid, and whatever number you get today doesn't have to be the number that you get in a month from now if you change your strategy. And that is the difference between guessing and hoping and praying and actually building something predictable and sustainable for you and your family. Personally, I track all of this information in the spreadsheet. I would never be able to keep it all straight without that. And I have a lot of different formulas in my spreadsheet that just do all of this math for me. And once you start tracking it, you realize very quickly what areas of your business you can improve on and what areas of your business are doing really well, and how you can move things forward. I am working on making that spreadsheet available soon. So if you're interested in that, please just comment below and say like spreadsheet, and I will make sure that you're the first to know. If you need a little bit of help with the math part, feel free to comment your numbers down below and I can help you out. And if you're into this kind of breakdown where we turn reselling into something predictable, definitely don't forget to subscribe, because more content like this is coming soon. I'll be digging into how to increase your sell-through rate, what items sell fast, and how to scale without burning out. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.